$1.3 billion is set to be spent in New Jersey on infrastructure programs of different kinds, including on schools. And this is a combination of about half the money was approved by voters, and about half the money is coming from an actual infrastructure fund in New Jersey. And there are 2 religious schools in New Jersey that might receive more than a combined $11 million in taxpayer money, and a lot of people are upset with that, understandably, Lewis. The two projects are $10.6 million for Beth Midrash Gehovah. It's an all-male Orthodox Jewish rabbinical school in Lakewood, New Jersey, and $645,000 for Princeton Theological Seminary. It's a 200-year-old school which trains both male and female Christian ministers. No association at all with Princeton University, just to make that clear for people. And they decided to have some hearings about this because State Senator Paul Sarlo questioned whether giving money to these organizations is even legal. The money is going to come from the Higher Education Technology Infrastructure Fund, like I said, and the legislation says this has to go to only state-funded institutions, educational institutions, schools, what have you, and that it appears to directly conflict with rules and regulations. And a bunch of the lawmakers here are questioning whether taxpayer money should go to any projects that are religious and that are not open to students of all faiths. I actually think that it doesn't matter whether they're open to all faiths or not. I think that if the school is religious-based, it should not receive state funding, whether or not it allows anybody in or not. These particular schools aren't open to students of all faiths. And it was pretty difficult to get any kind of real statement from the individuals kind of involved in allocating the money here. I have to say, this to me is a very clear establishment of religion. Even if you are not saying everybody has to practice this religion if they go to this school, and we're supporting that by funding it with state funds going to an organization that is by definition a religious organization, to me is an establishment of religion, and just plain and simple, they should not get the money.
Yeah, I don't think this makes any sense at all. The money should be going to just your general state universities. I don't know.
Or state high schools or whatever the case may be.
Right, wherever the money's needed, I guess.
The problem then becomes, there's another layer to this problem, which is when you have the state high schools or whatever, where the particular administration, because of the political and religious orientation of the area where the school happens to be, decide to implement religious elements, and nobody really complains, or the majority doesn't complain, because, hey, most of the people in the school don't mind the religious components. That's actually harder, and it may be even more pervasive and difficult to eradicate, because you may have a minority who is probably not too easygoing about being the ones to stand up and say, hey, what's going on here? That could actually be more of a problem. And I'm sure it's happening all over the country.
Probably, but I think you still have to assume that the majority of these schools are not doing that. And just avoid giving money to the ones that are strictly religious in the first place.
No state funds for religious schools, just that, period. That's it. I don't know. We don't even have to have any more discussion about it. Just no state funds to religious schools.
Please.
Facebook.com/David Pakman Show. Join us on Facebook. We'll take a break. Dennis Campbell is joining us next. And then still a lot more coming up, so stay with us.
The David Pakman Show at davidpakman.com.